Welcome to our webinar on political conflicts and their impact on your business. We will wait another maybe 2 or 3 minutes for everybody to join, and then we will begin our presentation. Welcome to our webinar on political conflicts and their impact on your business. Thank you for taking the time to participate today. I'm Jessica Hablowitz, Marketing Manager at MBI, and I am your moderator for today. Before we start, we also would like to thank our partner HERE Technologies for their support and presenting in this webinar. Today's session will consist of 3 major parts. At first, we will hear about supply chain planning with regards to political risk with CONIAS Risk Intelligence. Location intelligence is a core ingredient in creating resilience and improving risk and exception management. Risk data in combination with location data can be used to quickly analyze, identify, and proactively respond to disruptions in the supply chain. Therefore, during the second part of the webinar, Bart from HERE will give you some insights into supply chain visibility with HERE location services. Finally, we will have a Q&A session where our experts will answer your questions which might come up during this webinar. Just give us one moment, please. We are having technical difficulties right here. Very sorry about that. Okay, there we are again. So our webinar will be kicked off by Karina Ziegelmüller, Global Partner Manager at MBI. Prior MBI, Karina was with HERE Technologies for about 12 years. There, she was responsible for building up the partner ecosystem in Europe and APAC, focusing on solution partners through various industries. We are also very happy having Bart Kopelmans from HERE Technologies presenting at our webinar. Bart is a Senior Business Strategy Manager in the Industry Solutions Department, with over 12 years of experience in leading positions. His areas of expertise include supply chain management, business strategy and consultancy, business development, and strategic program management. We also have Dr. Nicolas Schwank, who is the founder of CONIAS and after its acquisition through MBI leading as Chief Data Scientist for Political Risk. Nicolas will support us to answer all the questions you might have today. He studied political science, Middle and Modern History and Public Law in Heidelberg and Barcelona. Moreover, he was a member of several research groups to analyze the escalation behavior of political conflicts at the University of Heidelberg. Before we start, I would like to add a few information on housekeeping. Firstly, you've been muted to avoid background noise. We will have some polls during the sessions and would like to kindly ask you for your participation. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question window. We will answer those questions during our Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If there's not enough time to answer all your questions, we will get back to you via email. Last but not least, a copy of the slides as well as the recording of the webinar will be shared with you this week. So let's get started now. Karina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jessica, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for your time today. Who is MBI? Bauer International is a leading global data provider, which was founded back in 2009 as part of the Bauer Group. Since then, MBI has not only built up a huge global product portfolio, but also secured its top spot as data provider for leading retail, BI analytics, or automotive companies. Being a long-term preferred partner and provider to leading IT and GIS companies, like Esri and Precisely, has been achieved through providing high-quality data, but also through our focused customer and partner support. We provide global standardized data sets, which are consistent and comparable, helping companies to understand their business potential, build analytic solutions, and to grow globally. We're constantly expanding our product portfolio. Over the last 18 months, we have added global mobile trace data, established Michael Bauer micromarketing in Düsseldorf, and acquired CONIAS in Heidelberg. And CONIAS has been active already since the late 80s. As a long-standing partner with HERE Technologies for more than 10 years, MBI is very proud to be one of the first global certified HERE distributors, providing HERE map data and location services to our partners and customers. Again, welcome to the first partner webinar with MBI and HERE Technologies. The MBI portfolio consists of global boundaries and global market data, as you see on this slide. It covers like purchasing power and consumer styles or tourism data. It helps companies to develop their expansion strategies and supports many other use cases. Since 2019, global mobile trace data has been added to the stack. In Germany, for example, we are able to provide information to create products based on over 76 million unique device IDs, which are not purely matched on streets, but be able to trace and give you ways through shopping centers, for example. Since 2020, global political risk data, which with a rich portfolio, and also the distribution business for HERE Technologies, round up the global MBI offering. Before going into the definition of political risk, let's quickly look at what we understand under supply chain management. Supply chain management is the process of delivering a product from raw material to the consumer. It's a complex process consisting of various steps, starting with supply chain planning. In the first part of the webinar, I will talk about political risk and how it can disrupt the supply chain, and also about risk mitigation along the flow of goods. Bart will then take over, and he will focus on how to keep your goods on track and give you visibility, or how to keep visibility of the supply chain. Globally active manufacturing companies have already established risk management departments to be prepared and to respond to disruptions like weather, like hurricanes and fires, the economy, like trade wars, or health crises, which we are in the midst of. Political risk has become a part within the risk evaluation, but it's important to access viable data and information, but more so understand and be able to interpret the information. We at MBI define political risk as intended or unintended consequences of conflictive processes on social issues, which are man-made and have an impact on the integrity of human life, existing infrastructure, or established process flows. Now we understand how political risk is defined. But when do we pay attention to it, other than in our daily news and when we read the newsletters on our iPad? Usually companies pay attention to political risk when violence occurs. But politically caused damage, such as war, is not falling from the sky, but it's man-made. CONIAS observes conflicts already in the phases before violence breaks out. And what is important to understand is that not every crisis leads to war, because there are countries or regions which are good or bad conflict solvers. Through the decades of observing the dynamics of intra and interstate conflicts, with our CONIAS database, we have learned a lot about the good and the bad conflict solvers and have researched what makes the difference. The result is SHERE. The product SHERE allows us to distinguish between those good and bad conflict solvers and helps you to select the candidate in your supply chain who has the least political risk. After we have established an understanding of political risk, let's go to our first poll question. Jessica?
Thank you, Karina. So you should be able to see our first question on the screen right now, and we would like to know if political change had impact on your business in the past. So please put in your answer now. Okay, so the answers are coming in. I'm waiting just a little bit more. Yes, I see them coming in. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'm closing the poll now, and then I'm showing you the results. So 59% of you have experienced political change in your business in the past, 24% haven't yet, and 17% are not aware of it right now.
Thanks, Jessica. Very interesting, huh? So actually, this is not a surprise. And surveys showed us that political risks are perceived very differently in different countries. A great deal of attention has always been paid to political risks in the US and Great Britain. In Germany, on the other hand, awareness of and interest in these risks only recently awakened. So let's not waste any more time and look a bit more into the product. Well, you would think after reading the news, it's sufficient to get the information you need, but I can tell you it's way more complex. SHERE, which stands for CONIAS Subnational Resilience Index, brings news into context and helps to understand how these news can impact your supply chain. Defining a resilience index is supporting a long-term supply strategy, especially in the manufacturing industry, looking at the automotives who have a requirement of 10, 15 years, or even longer. Let's have a close look. Most important is that CONIAS SHERE has global coverage and can be seamlessly integrated into existing IT ecosystems. So how does SHERE work in a nutshell? To calculate the resilience of a country or region, SHERE combines processed political data as well as socioeconomic data, which is also one of MBI's core competencies. The calculation is based on more than 2 million data points and can be updated monthly. And just to give you an idea how much it is, so the team assigns an average over 120 regional risk values per day. So based on our knowledge, CONIAS was the first product aggregating conflicts on a subnational level, meaning the product is able to distinguish within a country which region has good or bad conflict solvers. This supports the rating of a country to not disqualify solely because there is a minor region which has conflicts. So how does resilience look like on a global scale? The figure on the right shows us an example, a SHERE value for March 2019. The darker the blue, the greater the resilience. The lower the default risk from political risks we expect. Let me summarize the core idea of SHERE once again. We do not know what challenges await us in 3, 5, or 15 years, but we can assume the following. All those countries and regions that have shown great resilience in the past will probably continue to deal best with these problems in the future. But perhaps, when looking at the many political events and disruptions, such as in the USA, you will ask yourself, can't share value also change quickly? That is an excellent question, so let me answer it this way. The SURE index value is calculated for each of the over 3,200 regions from a mixture of current and past conflict data and from current and past socioeconomic structural data. However, the data from the past has less weight than the current data. Looking at the US, we have a really special case. Due to the one-off shutdown of a large part of the economy, huge sums of money are needed to stimulate the economy, which may not be available for the solving of other conflicts or problems. The biggest nationwide wave of protests following the death of George Floyd has just superimposed two crises of unprecedented proportions. According to what we know about the US today, SURE tells us that the country will master this crisis and that there will be no longer any risk of default in the future. But it is also clear that the longer the crisis in the US continues, the less resilient the country will be. And what applies to the most powerful country in the world applies even more to smaller countries, more unstable countries. Therefore, it is important to obtain the SURE data on a regular basis in order to be able to react early to an increased political risk. Turkey, on the other hand, is a different case. The economic difficulties and many political conflicts indicate an increased political risk as well. But the development is ongoing and not as surprising as in the US. As a result, our SURE value shows a growing political risk over a longer period of time. However, we believe that Turkey will remain stable as long as it is governed as authoritarian as before. It could become problematic if President Erdogan is no longer able to carry out his office or another coup d'etat takes place. Risk mitigation goes hand in hand with policies and controls. And best-in-class supply chain organizations integrate risk mitigation methodologies into their sourcing decisions process. SURE can help you to understand the resilience of your supply chain and is supporting effective supplier evaluation. According to a survey by the American Productivity and Quality Center, APQC, 2/3 of the surveyed entrepreneurs work with suppliers in areas marked by political conflict. Where political instability prevails, companies also face regulatory risk, not to mention protectionism and corruption. The uncertainty associated with political violence, from attacks and kidnapping to revolution, regime change, and war, is not only felt on the ground. In single sourcing constellation, it also can threaten the viability of the global supply chain. While production and quality suffer in such a scenario, so can the relationship with trading partners and customers. Therefore, it is imperative to have a strategy to reduce these risks and to develop alternatives. The more delicate and international the supply chain, the more accurate your monitoring should be if you want to avoid unpleasant and costly surprises. So many German companies have been caught unprepared by the rapidly escalating crisis in North Africa in 2011 and the Ukraine starting in 2014. So today, a supply chain is the target of terrorist violence on an average 3 times a week. And that figure does not take into account the risk of organized crime. So let's look at some figures. More than 50 countries, which represent nearly 25% of the world, have been impacted by such attacks in the past decade, including Colombia, the Philippines, India, Bangladesh, and Turkey. The economic damage of terrorist violence in 2017 was summed up to 52 billion US dollars. Looking at more recent threats and disruptions in the supply chain, like in the actual picture, we see an immediate disruption on the US-Mexico border in April 2019 as a result of the Trump administration's decision to shift hundreds of customs agents to process asylum seekers at the US-Mexico border. A typically half-an-hour trip to cross the World Trade Bridge from Nuevo Laredo in Mexico to Laredo, Texas, was now a 3-hour journey. Well, in our opinion, understanding and reacting to risks is essential. But are companies taking these political risks into their decision-making process? Well, let's move over to our next poll question. Jessica, please go ahead.
Thank you, Karina. So I'm sharing our next poll question with you right now. And now we would like to know if you have a person or a department that is responsible for political risk in your company right now. So please take some time to answer these questions. I will wait a couple of seconds for you. Okay, thank you very much for all your answers. I saw a lot of them coming in, so I will close the poll right now. And you will be able to see our results here. So 34% said yes, they have a person department that is responsible for political risk right now. 52% don't have somebody responsible for the topic in the company right now, and only 14% are not aware about that topic right now.
This is a very interesting result, but this shows us that we actually right on time to help people to understand political risks and also educating on a later stage, right? So let's summarize what we've learned about HERE today. So the HERE index is evaluating the data on a subnational level. So this is important not just to disqualify a whole country based on areas of conflict, which may be minor. It also assigns specific risk values on a regional level. It provides a full picture of ongoing conflicts and indicates current and anticipated political tensions. Also, it indicates regions without or only minor recent political violence. And we provide, of course, a global index for comparability and global interpretation. Well, we have actually identified that political risks may not only be usable for supply chain management, but we have a few other use cases supporting where the data might be useful, like for manufacturing, mining, retail, but also insurance and reinsurance. And we are happy to learn more from your side. So if you have needs or you see anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we're happy to have ongoing discussions. And before we close the political risk topic for today, Jessica, we have one last question. Eh?
Thank you very much, Karina. So yes, because before we close off the first part of the webinar, we would like to know if you would be interested in academy training on the topic of political risk. So please put in your answer now. We are waiting a few more seconds for some more answers to come in. Okay, I'm closing the poll now. Thank you very much for your participation. And you will be able to see the results here. So 40% of you would be interested in online academy training, only 3% in on-site training, and 26% would be interested in both, and only 37% are not interested in academy training right now.
Well, actually, the majority want to learn more. It looks for me like that, right, Jessica?
Yes, exactly.
It's good. It's good. It's always good to learn more. So we're looking forward to work on an offering which might suit your requirements, and we're very happy to reach out. So also a call out now to you. If you want to learn more, we have shared our contact details, or if you know us personally, give us an email or call us. We're very happy to help you further. And for now, I want to thank you for your attention. So my part is done, and I'm very happy to hand over to Bart Koppelmans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karina, for your interesting presentation. But I'm giving over to you now, so please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you very much, Karina. I think you should be able to see my screen now.
We can see, and now it's in presenting mode. Great. Thank you, Bart.
Cool. Thank you very much. So thanks for having me, and thanks for having us explaining a little bit more on location intelligence and how we solve intermodal supply chain challenges with location intelligence. So first of all, if you who don't know HERE, we are a world's leading location data and technology platform. We are a global mapping and location data company, including China, Japan, and Korea. We have a global presence. So we are 200 countries across the world. We have 30 years of experience in mapping and location data, and we cover different industries: automotive, transport, logistics, retail, tech, and media and telco. So let me explain a little bit why location intelligence is a core ingredient to create resilience and to improve risk and exception management. So you can use location data and analytics to quickly identify and proactively respond to disruptions in the supply chain, which is quite important that you use location intelligence for this. So currently what we see, and also what you saw in the poll just now, that a lot of companies don't have something in the company to for responsible for risk management, and we see that a lot of companies can become more resilient by using data and analytical tools for this. So we also see if you improve your fleet and shipment visibilities, you will be able to predict your estimated time of arrivals and enhance your risk and exception management. And together with that, also optimize your inbound logistics and production operations. So let me explain a little bit what we do for the transport logistics industry. First of all, today we see in the market that shippers and logistics service providers face increasingly supply chain challenges. So what we see in the market that there's increasing customer demand from shippers who are expecting real-time visibility in this already complex supply chain. So visibility is becoming a basic requirement, if you ask us, which is today still the biggest challenge in the industry. So there are different reasons for this. One big reason is that there are different players involved and different systems, legacy systems, also in place, which are currently today also not exchanging data with each other. So many data and many services are locked in silos, which is also preventing the industry from having this full transparency. Together with that, there's also a rapid technological change, and it's hard for customers to really cope with the new technologies and adapt to this. Therefore, we built 4 building blocks in order to support our customers in going digital in a supply chain. The first one is providing end-to-end supply chain visibility. Second one is providing customers with dynamic middle and last mile tour planning and execution. The third one is integrated yard management. And last but not least is providing a platform for data-driven collaboration and monetization, meaning that you would be able to use location data and services and also monetize with the ecosystem in the platform. I will now go deeper into each one of those. Supply chain visibility. So we offer key components to enable end-to-end visibility and drive transparency throughout the supply chain. We do that with our tracking platform, which is a hardware agnostic horizontal platform. And there with the platform, we are able to connect via our APIs real-time data sources from trackers, different IoT sensors or telematic systems from the trucks to really follow the flow of goods and drive the full location and often sometimes also the conditions of the shipment itself. Together with lower location services, we are able to derive further location insights, calculate an estimated time of arrival, departures, and take also like traffic conditions or things happening during transport into account, which is quite important that you know if something is happening, that you will get alerted on this, and that you can quickly also proactively respond to this. Some USPs of this solution compared to other tracking platforms in the market is that we are able to offer indoor-outdoor tracking. So we would be able to really follow the end-to-end transport of the goods from the customer warehouse where it's leaving into the end destination, which can also be a warehouse or hospital environment or any other case. Together with that, we also offer journeys estimated time of arrival, meaning that we would offer multimodal journeys, multimodal transport visibility, combining like road, ship, air, different transport modes into this. The second solution will be more into fleet management, so really focused on offering our fleet telematics APIs to manage your fleet with advanced location algorithms. We offer our tour planning APIs to calculate and optimize your route plannings, and also together with our location services allow to derive a reliable estimated time of arrival and departure notifications. We have the most advanced truck attributes in the market with global coverage, and with our high performance matrix routing and tour planning tools, we have the best tools in place to optimize your transport plannings. Together with fleet tracking, we will be able to derive the insights where your fleet is driving or your subcontracted fleet is driving to get visibility into the whereabouts of your goods. Then we have yard management. So with our yard maps platform and our editor, we are able to map a private yard, which is often a black box challenge. So it can be a large manufacturing plant, a port operating area, or a warehouse environment area, which we are able to map and with our location services accurately provide the whereabouts of the truck and provide the customer on the estimated time of arrival for that truck. This benefits the facility manager in the end to trigger estimated time of arrival notifications and really schedule the optimize the schedule of the slots of the loading and unloading of the truck. Together with that, for the truck driver, it's also a better experience to really navigate from the check-in location towards the loading dock and the parking areas, and we would reduce the truck waiting times in certain facilities. For the asset owners, it's beneficial to really monitor the assets and the vehicles and trigger estimated time of departure notifications when leaving a certain yard. So with all of these services, we are able to really provide the end-to-end location data, powers the end-to-end transport journey from planning with our planning tools to execution with real-time monitoring and proactively also respond and change if something is happening, into last mile optimization and planning, dynamic replanning and last meter guidance, and also post-trip analytics. So with our tools, you will be able to also do job and driver analytics in order to get insights also from for your future plannings and take things into account that using analytics predict and prevent disruptions from happening again. So therefore, I want to close with a case study, which we did for a healthcare devices manufacturer. We provided them with an end-to-end supply chain visibility solution. They had really problems with engineers on one side of the world waiting for a certain spare part and needed to do the maintenance order. And they had no insights into when a certain spare part was delivered. So they had really inaccurate ETAs. And together with that, also they had a lot of debt on arrival shipments. That meaning during transport shipment, the spare part was broken, and they would only identify if the goods were delivered into a certain hospital. So this we solved for them by providing them with real-time location on the whereabouts of the certain shipment, including also condition monitoring of that shipment. So you will be able to, the customer will be able to proactively also react on if something is happening with a certain shipment, meaning temperature excursions or shock or humidity kind of exposures, those kind of things. The benefits for the technicians was really that he didn't need to search anymore for where the goods were delivered inside a hospital. Sometimes the hospital campus had multiple buildings. So therefore, he would immediately could know where the shipment, the spare part was, and immediately start his maintenance planning and order. So this resulted in a 70% reduction of wasted time, and also 80% estimated reduction in lost shipments on the customer side, which of course in the end increased the NPS score from their side. So with that, I want to close it and thank you all for listening. And if there are any questions, happy to take them.
Thank you, Bart. It was really good, and it's actually very important to see not only how to select the right supplier, but also keep track of your goods all the time, right? To all the different travel modes. So, and also through the whole journey, of course. We have prepared a last poll, and Jessica, do you want to show us the question?
Yes, sure. So to conclude the HERE part of our webinar, we have one final question for you. And yeah, we would like to know, in addition to political risk, do you want to learn more about HERE Technologies data and services, HERE Technologies offering on transport and logistics, or all of the above? So please put in your answer now. So thank you very much for your participation in all of our polls today. I'm going to close this one right now, and I'll show you the results. So 40% of you are interested in HERE Technologies data and services, 12% in HERE Technologies offering on transport and logistics, and 48% in all of the above. So thank you very much for your answers, and I'm sure our partners at HERE Technologies and Bart are happy about it, and I'm pretty sure they will follow up on that. Thank you very much again, Bart, for your presentation. We really appreciate your valuable insights. And now we will move over to the Q&A part of the webinar. Thanks for sending in your questions. We won't be able to answer all of them, but we will start with a few and are happy to provide you with a follow-up via email regarding your questions. We will start with HERE Technologies related questions for Bart, and afterwards Nicolas will answer your questions on political risk. So Bart, the first question I have for you is, Who are your typical customers in the transport and logistics industry?
Yeah, thanks for this question. A good question. So we have multiple customers in the TNL industry, starting from fleet management systems and transport management systems using our location data and services. I think we have a pretty big market share from these players. Next to that, we also serve bigger logistic companies, logistic service providers. It can be a 3PL freight forwarder using our location service into their platform, as well as shippers with more tailored services and solution into their transport planning and operation systems.
Thank you very much. The next question we got is, what is the coverage and availability of these solutions you just showed us?
Yeah, good question. We are a global company, so we serve also, we have global coverage in most of the solutions. So it can be that for certain areas there are some limited features into certain offers, but general coverage which we have is global coverage. So we serve many players, also bigger customers with our global services.
Thank you very much. And the final question I have for you is, we have multiple transport management and operation system in place already. How do you integrate with them?
Yeah, so we have multiple ways of integrating with them. Normally, our preferred option would be that we provide our APIs and integrate into the existing operations and system management systems on customer side. We also have our services pre-integrated into some partners, which are leading TMS providers, for example. A couple of them we are also pre-integrated there, where you can directly consume our services through these players already. Yeah, so multiple ways of doing this.
Okay, thank you very much, Bart, for answering all of our questions. So moving on over to questions related to political risk. The first one I have for you, Nicolas, is where does CONIAS obtain its data from?
Well, yes, thank you very much for this question. This is really important. Let me emphasize that our data is always relying on public sources, such as newspapers, magazines, and also selected pages in the web. It is really important for us that the information we encode is traceable. And ideally, there are two reliable sources that report on the event or measures independently of each other. In no case, however, do we encode rumors or hearsay.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. So another person asked for the resilience index SURE, the historical data we use. Since when is this historical data used, or how long does it go back, I think, does this person mean?
All right. Well, yes, this really is best special thing on CONIAS databases that it goes back to 1945. So it's a really a huge amount of data which we have. It's I would say it's the biggest data collection on political conflicts, one of the worlds. But for the SURE data, we are focusing on on the last 10, 15, 20 years. And it's depending how much influence events have on the political risk.
Okay, great, thank you. So the next question was, how often is SURE updated?
Okay, so this is also important question. Normally, regularly, we update the SURE data 4 times a year. So every quarter, you get a new update of SURE. But in special cases, we also offer different products. It is possible to have a monthly update, or in really special cases, it's possible to have a weekly or daily update of the data.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. We have one final question for you. Do the SURE data really cover the whole world?
Yes, really, they do. It's amazing, but we really monitor 194 states and over, as Karina mentioned before, over 3,200 subnational units. We are monitoring almost 1,000 ongoing active political conflicts, interstate and intrastate conflicts. And what I really want to emphasize, we use the same methodology for all conflicts in the world, whether they are in Europe or in Central Africa or in Asia. And that is, makes our data really comparable with each other. This is a good point.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Finally, we have one last question regarding political risk and HERE Technologies. The question is, does HERE location data or services play a role for political risk? I would like to hand this question over to Karina, since she's our expert for the combination of both products.
Thank you, Jessica. I think we learned also in Bart's presentation about how important location is about visibility, and it's nothing different with political risk data, right? So political risks are valued and combined with accurate location data to allow further and precise analysis, right? Because you need to understand what happens in which region at one time. And we talk about 3,200 regions globally. So visualization is definitely a huge part of it. And especially for sure, we need, and for sure, for the product, sure, you need detailed and global comparable data, as Nicolas just said previously. It's very important to be comparable because you sit in Germany and you make decisions globally. So how do you know how things look like and happen in Asia or in North America unless you really have people on the ground? And that's why we think HERE is the perfect fit for us as a partner, because we as a company, Bauer, with its product scope and especially political risks and HERE Technologies with their global coverage and data, as well as their great APIs, as we saw, is great for us. So yes, I hope that answers the question. So it definitely is connected. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Bart, Nicolas, and Karina, for answering all those questions we got today. I think we are reaching the end of this session right now. Again, we will share the slides and the recording of this webinar with you, as well as the answers to the questions we didn't have time to answer here. Thank you very much to our presenters, Karina, Bart, and Nicolas, and thank you all for attending. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.